Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm Kathy, your host for today. We also have Bill co-hosting with me. And we have two young spiritual people here with us to talk, Sarrah and Emma. They actually work together and separately in their business and what they do. So we'll just talk a little bit about how they got here, though, to where they are, though, and how things evolved, all that wonderful stuff. So I know they read cards, which a lot of us do, but we all read a little bit differently and give messages. We all get the same messages that we need, but every person that reads for someone, you always get, it's always done a little bit differently. So Sarrah and Emma, would you guys like to talk about how you guys got started and how you guys got interested in this?
Sure. You want to go first?
Yeah, so when I was 18, as most of us do when we get into spirituality, I went through an experience that kind of transformed my life, and that made me want to become spiritual and start to do cards. So I learned about tarot cards, and I started from there. And ever since then, I've been considering myself a witch, manipulating energy to kind of create the life that I desire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum as to where I am now. I actually taught Sunday school when I was 18.
Okay.
And for a long time, I kind of thought that there was only one way to handle spiritual life, and it looked one particular way to me for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then I got hooked up with a mentor that actually worked with me for quite a few years, teaching me all manner of magical basics, tarot cards, oracle cards, candle magic, spell work. I was relatively well-rounded by the time I left her care. And I practiced on my own for a while. It took some time because I think that mental health is super important when it comes to pursuing your spirituality. So I took a long time to get myself right, get my energy right before I kind of carried out with, what we do, for our work and our daily life. Emma and I were distant for a little while, and when we came back together, we kind of realized that we could be this kind of energetic powerhouse. Mm-hmm. And now we just do it all the time.
So how did you meet your mentor? How did that come about?
She was my mom's friend, and I never really knew the extent of what she did, because it wasn't something that was really shared with me in my early life. My mom, while not inherently Catholic or Christian herself, was very wary of us getting mixed into anything like that, even though she kept that kind of person as a friend. Mm-hmm. And so my mom was very much like, no, you're not getting involved with this, you're not doing this. So I started working with the mentor after I turned 18, after I could drive.
Okay. Yeah.
Because at that point, then she couldn't really stop me.
Now the legal age does change things a little bit, though, for most of us, though. Yeah. So so you always had an interest. You just didn't quit it until you were a bit older.
So I have delved into every aspect of creativity and magic as it works in a fantasy setting. I was 7 years old with a 12th grade reading level.
Okay.
So I was constantly consuming basically every kind of media that I could get my hands on, mm-hmm. that had to do with basically the world that I wanted to live in. And from there, I kind of understood that there are people who, through energy work, through shadow work, through manifestation, make the things happen that they want to happen.
Yeah.
And I realized that why can't I take advantage of that?
Yeah, the power of thought it's very strong. People don't realize they're just thinking that they can make it happen. Mm-hmm. I can't stress that enough.
So imagine what you can do with writing down words and chanting and bringing in tools to amplify that energy. It's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Power of thought, though, there's nothing like it.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing like
I
it.
know.
Now, do you read cards as well too? I know.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys, is it tarot cards or is it oracle?
So there's kind of, I dabble in both Oracle and Tarot, but I also kind of found this, and I don't know how unique it is, but I think it's unique. I found a deck that is astrology cards.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily an Oracle deck, but it's not necessarily a Tarot deck either. And I find that between that deck and then I have a deck of, well, technically Oracle cards, they're more fairies.
Okay.
And I find more comfort and use in those. But Emma, on the other hand, literally has hundreds of tarot card decks.
Okay.
So,
So what kind of tarot cards do you have? Do you have the traditional plus other kinds?
Yes. So I like to think of the Rider-Waite-Smith and Aleister Crowley as being the main two foundational tarot decks that all other tarot decks are kind of based off of. So I have those two, and I have them in their first editions. You know, I'm a big collector.
Yeah.
So, and then all different sorts of oracle, and for whatever type of reading you might want, whatever type of person might come to me for a reading. I also like to do charm and bone casting.
Okay.
So I lay out like a divination board that I made, and I'll cast, and that'll be part of the reading too. So things like that.
So how many bones do you have in that bone casting?
I have, I believe, 3 types of species.
Okay.
Bobcat, I have shark teeth, I have coyote, tailbones.
So you've been reading those for a while then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very connected with animal energies. So a lot of animal decks
Yeah.
I like to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their energy is so much better than ours, I think. You know, the energy of the animals.
Right.
Oh yeah.
They're much more pure
Yeah,
than
I
we are.
mean, it's like you resonate with a different frequency.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And when you resonate to that frequency, you're able to get the information.
Exactly. That's why I love working with animal decks, because each animal, it has its own, like you said, its own frequency. Its own
Yeah,
energy
their own
that you
properties,
can-
yeah.
Yeah, and they can bring you a certain message just by, you know, showing up in your life. I'll see a hawk, and sometimes I'll see it at a certain moment that'll be so significant to me. And that'll be kind of, I'll dive into what the hawk signifies and do readings on that, and it can teach you a lot about, you know.
Yeah, what way to go, what's the best way to go about something, yeah.
Exactly.
For resolution, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have your own office, or do you guys share the office together?
So right now, we kind of work out of Emma's home.
Okay.
She just bought a very beautiful house.
Okay.
And as a perk of that beautiful house, she has an entire sunroom that's dedicated just to our work.
Oh, okay.
Plants and cards and crystals and
My reading room.
her reading room.
Yeah, it's nice to have that your own space. It's
Right.
definitely helpful for people when they come.
Right.
So
Definitely.
It's been really great because all of the content and all of the workings that we've done thus far has had to unfortunately be stuff that we've done outside, public parks, stuff like that. So it's really nice to have an environment that we can actually, you know, control sound, lighting, you know, colors, textures, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so it's really nice to have. The next step eventually is a brick and mortar location.
Okay.
But
Yeah, but it's a good start, though. A lot of us do start out of our own house, though.
yeah,
Well, you got to build a good foundation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to have people that know you're there and have interacted with you before, so this way you'd be able to continue that relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Building rapport with the community. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you guys been giving readings and doing the witchy stuff?
Let's see. Since I was 18, and I'm 25 now.
Okay, so a little bit, though.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
give or take 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys seem to be very, very well versed, though, so you guys are very knowledgeable. So I know what you do. So that's good. Yeah.
Well, we're very into what we do.
Yeah.
It consumes a good amount of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to our children and our families, this is really what we live for, is spirituality and spirit and energy work, and like I said before, making life the way you want it to be, with power of thought.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically what it is.
Absolutely. So in the reading, let's just shift it just for a little bit for the cards, though, for the card readings. Where do you find the most common topics that come up, though, whether people ask for about it, to talk about it, or whatever just comes up on their own? Where do you find the most common subjects?
Definitely relationship readings are huge.
I was going to say, yeah, love.
Yes.
Everybody wants to know where their person is at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not only do we have, specific decks for love readings, but, you can use any deck to really show what's going on, and whatever question you ask, the universe will respond.
Yeah.
So you can ask whatever, as long as you have intention with the question you're asking through the cards. They will be able to show you the answer.
Yeah, I find the spirit side has always got something to say.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yeah, so because they see everything. A lot of times we forget that on this side, though, because we only see bits and pieces of stuff, But they see everything. Because I'm a medium as well, too. So it's like, I talk to them.
You have like a little bit of insight.
Yeah.
As to what they see.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's quite interesting, though. So a lot of times what comes up is like, should I be with this person? And sometimes it's not always yes.
Right.
And what do you say? These people are paying you to give you a nice reading.
But
So I just have to be as honest as possible. This is not, so a lot of times I'm like, okay, this is not the best person, though, because this is what's happening, though. They're not working with you in this relationship. So it's like, sometimes you just have to like craft it carefully for them to listen to you. So there's been a couple of times people tell me no. I'm like, this is what I'm seeing. I'm sorry.
Spirit is telling you for their best interest.
Yeah.
You are a
Sometimes
conduit.
right,
Yeah.
but it's also if you're not honest with them and it blows up, well,
Makes it look bad on
what,
you,
you
though.
didn't see that?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you're better off to say, well, this may not be what you want to hear, but
Yeah.
now I have an interest. I have friends who give card readings, and most of the time I didn't realize, maybe I do know the answer, but what's the difference between tarot and oracle cards?
Wow.
So tarot, to my knowledge, first started in Italy, around that area, and it started as not necessarily a means for fortune telling, but a game. We don't have the full information as to what that game actually pertained to, because it has changed so much in the time since then.
Right.
But like Emma was saying, there are multiple kind of instances, the Rider-Waite deck, the Crowley deck, where we kind of have these really standout moments in spiritual history that have kind of become the foundation of what us modern witches now know.
Right.
Whereas an oracle deck is a little bit more, I guess the word I'm looking for is maybe freelance, where there's not necessarily a
structure.
right, or a concrete understanding. With the Rider-Waite, it's very similar to a deck of playing cards.
Right.
It's set up in a structure of suits and houses and so on. Whereas an oracle deck, for example, like my deck of fairies, for example, each card applies to a different fairy from a different piece of Celtic, Nordic, Scottish folklore.
Sure.
And it's the stories and understandings and associations that we have with each of those fairies that then gives us the basis for what the reading means.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Alex Crawley several times, and a friend of ours, Gary, actually lives in the house that he lived in.
That's interesting.
On Bank Street in Providence, and he's actually seen him.
So visit.
And he, especially when he ran into him downstairs in the basement, he just asked him to leave, and he did.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, how do you, since we're on that, though, how is Aleister Crowley's decks, is it Aleister or, I think I said it was
Yes.
Alexander, but how is his decks different, though, than the Rider-Waite system?
It's, and we were just talking about this, it's very abstract.
Okay.
The word esoteric comes to mind. It's very spiritual, it's colorful, it's very much like you think an abstract painting, And these are what these cards are. They're abstract paintings, and they kind of allow your intuition to take over. You look at the card, and whatever the artwork strikes within your mind and within your soul is usually the message that is meant to come and be shared. Whereas the Rider-Waite is more of, okay, this card is this specific situation, and this card is this specific type of person. And when you lay them out in a certain way, this is the story that it's telling. So it's very much step by step, whereas you take a deck like Crowley's and it's a trip. It really is like psychedelic, you know, sort of.
Yeah, that's the impression I keep getting though whenever I read about Alistair Crowley, though, it's just very that way. If I'm not mistaken, he was like a high level magician though too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of goes with what he was doing when he was still among the physical side of life. So yeah, he did a lot. I know he did a lot of that stuff though. Yeah, he did a lot of that though.
Each deck has their time and their place.
Yes, and they're very important though still too. Yeah, because I read the tarot and oracle though, and I feel like I feel drawn to like, okay, sometimes midway through I have to switch decks.
Oh yeah.
But yet though, sometimes I read just the tarot depending on the person that comes in. So it seems like you guys find the same thing though too though when you guys reading for someone that's sitting with you. So
whatever I feel it like literally right in my body. And it's hard to explain. I'll have a feeling, and that'll kind of tell me what to do. Yeah. And it's really in every situation in life. I take it to work, on the street, and it really hasn't.
I'm just thinking about that. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about that time where you were at your mom's house and you ran outside to the people working on the building and was like, "Does anyone have a mother that passed away? Because I have a message." That's all I'm thinking about.
That situation, there was. I don't know who that person was that was coming to me, but usually my pulls and my nudges when I follow that flow, it takes me to where I need to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm so sure that person appreciated that message from the mother, especially when they come like very strongly with you though. And I've learned if you don't pay attention though, they get even louder with you and they don't leave until they get the message is given. Sometimes they can be quite persistent.
And for me, it manifests as physical anxiety in the body, so I'll feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That sounds similar to what you see on TV with that Long Island medium.
Right. Yeah.
She can't keep her mouth shut when she's being poked.
And they do poke her pretty seriously sometimes though too, I've noticed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, very interesting. So if someone wants to get a hold of you with any questions or anything like that, though, how can they get hold of you guys? I go by the Tarot BB, Tarot and the letters BB, and I have a TikTok and I have a Facebook page, and that's how I get a hold of people to do readings, and that's my main home base. So. Okay. Do you have an email and phone number, or is that the best way through the social media?
The best way to contact us for other business inquiries would be through the Third Ivy email, which is thethirdiv@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or you can access us via phone number, 860-315-3632.
Okay, and they can text on that phone too, though?
Yep.
Okay.
Text, call, whatever.
Now, do you have any platforms though for the social media for you?
So I operate as the Third Ivy. We're on Facebook. We're the Third Ivy and company. So then it's like any of, because there's more people that operate with us than just her and I, and so we have multiple readers, multiple people that all operate under the same umbrella.
Okay.
So I find that interesting. There's always, usually. An interesting story behind the name that you're wearing as a moniker, Third IV. I mean, it sounds like third and then IV is 4.
So actually, it's actually even silly. It's even easier than that.
Yeah.
I plant in my spare time. We both do actually. And I had just finished transplanting a golden pothos, or they call it the devil's ivy. And I just finished taking my big one and splitting it into 3 pods. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these plants and I'm like, 1, 2, the third ivy. And that's
Oh, I got it.
that's just where it came from. It's
Yeah.
so simple that that's just how it happened.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's still a good story. It's still a good story, though.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah, so, planting and gardening is very, very grounding, though, right?
Yeah, it's so. I think probably one of my fondest planting, gardening, outdoor memories that I have thus far with Emma is a ritual that she dragged me out of bed for at about 5:30 in the morning. Because she was like, today's the day, we got to do it, and it was wonderful. We watched the sunrise together. We, we gave reverence at a lake. It was really beautiful. And then it was an hour after that of just wandering around and trying to forage things. We ended up with some lichen. We ended up with a couple of pine cones and different things like that. That just, it's a connection to nature everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Like when she got married recently, the florist fell through. And instead of letting it get her down on, letting her get down on about it, she went out to a field and just picked a bunch of her own flowers. And now she still has that bouquet that's still, drying and hung up in her new home. And so it's really about any kind of connection to nature.
Yeah.
It just so happens that through gardening and planting, we can bring that into the home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely very, very good that way, though. Yeah, a lot of peace with that, though, too. Yeah, and the chaos of life.
Right.
Yeah, absolute chaos of life.
So, I was just going to say, do you see yourself broadening your tools that you're going to be using in the future, as you grow into this business?
Yeah, so I think that there is a slight difference between what Emma does and what I do. Mm-hmm. And you can totally correct me if you think I'm wrong, because but Emma's kind of, I don't want to say this to sound down on myself, but Emma kind of works in this higher plane of thinking. Where a lot of the decks that she works with are like angels and higher frequencies and different things like that. Whereas I work very much here in the material. So I work a lot with crystals. I work a lot with candles. I work a lot with herbs and oils and very things that tools that you would not necessarily expect, but also tools that in the moment do serve a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more earth-based in your work. Okay.
Which is hilarious because I'm an air sign.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, when I find a lot that sometimes we need the opposite element though to kind of ground us, because I'm a fire sign, but I love to be on water.
Yes.
So it's a lot of times that I find out that you need the opposite sign out to kind of just be here. I mean, I ground in waterfalls, water, so it's with my fire sign, I get to be very, very intense. So I've learned, that's the best way to be. It's just that you need something to keep us grounded, keep us here. Mm-hmm. So definitely need that, though. Yeah. Still, it's different frequencies, though, but still all valid, though, still all works, though. Mm-hmm. So it's just what works best for us.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you see yourself continuing on with this work as well, too, though, down the road?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I continuously accumulate more decks to study, and I do study them, and I feel like there's something to be learned from each of the artists and the authors of the decks.
Okay.
Yeah. So continuing to study in tarot and whenever I find a new form of divination, I like to get into that, like the bone casting. That was a new form of divination for me at one point, and that was really interesting. So
I believe that's actually older than much older than the oracle decks.
Oh yeah.
I believe because that's an older form, but that's just coming back out again. Because I know more people get interested in it though.
Sure. I mean, paper and the use of artwork on paper. It doesn't hold up as good as a good set of runes or bones,
Well, yeah.
So the thing is that you're right. That's probably has a lot longer history. Mm-hmm. But you saying that you would sit, again, getting back to resonation, reverberation. When you sit with the deck and you're studying it, I mean, do you just kind of I'll let you guide this discussion, but do you kind of just sit with the cards and just kind of open yourself up a little bit and see what kind of resonance and you can feel it through your body?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel, and like I said, I feel most of it right in my heart space. The energy of the card, what it's trying to convey. And I do a lot of meditation, and I try and work with, angels and guides, and that would help me to understand the message that's trying to come across. So that combined with the guidebook and what the author has written about the card.
Oh yes, okay, good. Yes, of course.
That's also very helpful.
Well, that's the intent of the genesis of the card. So by you being able to see or understand what their train of thought was, it may resonate with what you actually kind of picked up yourself, or maybe not.
Right.
But
you can take what resonates and leave the rest.
Well, the thing I find interesting is that when you are in a position where you're able to relax and open up and pick up the vibration, that you're like we used to open this program with everybody sees it differently, everybody gets a different message, and the way that you guys talk with you or the angelic realm works with you, I think it's really important to trust what you are picking up, what you are getting for the message, and that right there will probably have more of a truth to what you're receiving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's been over the years, learning to calm the logic part of the mind.
Right.
And really sit and accept what comes, rather than trying to create a logical scenario.
Yeah, because we can definitely talk ourselves out of anything, though, right?
Exactly.
Very easily. Yeah. So just trusting what we're getting.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're almost done with this episode. How can people get hold of you if they have any questions and want to reach out?
You can email us at thethirdivy@gmail.com. Or you can call and text at 860-315-3632.
Or find me at the Tarot BB at Facebook.
Yeah, because TikTok probably won't be around too much more. Huh?
I've invested so much time in my TikTok videos too.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that.
I think is the next one we can go to.
Okay. So I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
Now, have you ever considered making your own deck of cards to read?
You are planting a seed in my head.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the next step for you. What about you?
It definitely is a thought that has crossed my mind, but I am not nearly as creative as my partner is. So it would definitely have to be a collaborative effort if we were going to do it.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing. Excuse me, falling on my words here. I definitely think that's the next step for you too.
I think so too.
Either individually or together, whichever works. So I think you need to give yourself a little bit more credit.
I know.
Yeah, because you seem very good at what you do as well.
Very intuitive.
Yeah. I do my best to be humble.
No,
That's the best thing you can do.
That's right. Right. Always give thanks afterwards for what you received.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to put the pat on the back on the people that are sharing the information with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the more you see the signs of making your own cards, though, because I know you guys know the signs at this point. Yeah. Sometimes they start screaming after like the fifth time. It's like, well, maybe I should do it now, though. Because they can be quite persistent though when they want us to do something else. Something more than what we're already doing. Not that we don't do enough. Seems you guys are pretty busy at what you guys do. Which is good. Yeah. So it's just you always enjoyed helping people, and I know it's for you guys as well, though too. Though otherwise, you guys wouldn't be reading for people. Giving them guidance and stuff like that, though. So it's like, So it's just tough to try to get people in the right direction with what the cards still tell us, though, that we have to tell the person that's sitting for us, though.
Right.
Yeah. So
always learning.
Yeah. Yeah.